Hello and welcome to the Street Dog Podcast, brought to you by the Street Dog Coalition. We are an international nonprofit caring for lives on both ends of the leash, and we provide free medical care and related services to pets of people experiencing or at risk of homelessness. I am your host, Daria Tavana, and I'm also the Director of Development at the Street Dog Coalition. If you're joining us live, go ahead, drop an emoji in the comments, say hi, let us know where you're tuning in from, and please do not hesitate to ask a question if you feel inspired to, or to share comments as we engage in this lovely conversation today. I can't wait. So for those of you who might be new to us, on the Street Dog Podcast, we explore so many things, but for the most part, we explore the world of animal welfare through the eyes of experts, street dog vets, and volunteers. We share inspiring stories and provide updates on our advocacy work and give you an inside look at the challenges and rewards of working to improve the lives of animals belonging to people experiencing or at risk of homelessness. And oftentimes we get incredible partners from outside organizations, which we have today. Cannot wait to introduce my guest. It's just really great to have you guys here. So if you're tuning in live on Facebook, thank you so much. We always appreciate your support and we love connecting with you. And if you're listening on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, YouTube, wherever we are, please make sure that you're following the Street Dog Coalition on Facebook so you can also tune in live every episode. That will allow you to kind of engage with us in real time, which we, of course, love to do. And on today's episode, very excited, he and I were just catching up. I have BJ with me, BJ Ganem. He's the CEO and founder of Sierra Delta. And Sierra Delta is actually a wellness community centered around service to others and the love of dogs. So his charity is dedicated to many things, which we will go into detail about today. But one of the most special things is that they pair veterans with dogs. And their goal is to empower veterans through purpose, innovation, community, and that love for dogs. And BJ actually has an incredible history, which I'm sure he will shine a light on as soon as I am done giving him this epic introduction. So his journey from the United States Marine Corps to nonprofit organizations like the Semper Fi Fund has shaped his dedication to supporting veterans. And actually in 2004, BJ experienced a life-altering event when the vehicle he was driving was struck by an improvised explosive device, which we most commonly known as an IED, resulting in the amputation of his left leg, which he has on display behind him right there, a prosthetic, a mild brain injury, and shrapnel wounds. So through his own transition process, BJ discovered his purpose in assisting other veterans as they reintegrate into society. He left behind a successful 10-year career at Kraft Foods, becoming a passionate advocate for veterans' rights and well-being. And overall, Sierra Delta's programs aim to empower veterans with disabilities by providing them with highly trained service dogs and a supportive community, enabling them to lead fulfilling and independent lives. And here we are, without any further ado, welcome to the Street Dog Podcast, BJ.
Thank you so much. And what an epic introduction. I can't thank you enough. Right? I do want to make one clarification.
Yeah.
We're not just for veterans with disabilities. We're for all veterans.
Awesome.
It's a wellness program and all of us can get a little bit better, right? I laugh with people that say, if you live in America and you don't have PTSD, you haven't been paying attention the past 6 years. So this is something that is uniquely to just veterans. However, I think we've been experiencing it longer because what I learned early on was it wasn't so much what I did overseas, it's how I felt when I came back to this country and couldn't really find my place. And the fact that we're free and independent people. And so what we really do is help veterans drive their own bus to live that epic life through empowerment, purpose, innovation, and community. Spells epic. So
I love that. I didn't even realize that. How funny that I said epic.
Yeah, it is. And it's been a lot of fun. being in the hospital and being around both veterans that have served in some capacity, whether they were wounded, whether they were injured, we all have a desire to continue to serve.
Yeah.
And what I was seeing was with the way the programs are set up right now, they ask for you not to be empowered. They ask for you to be smaller, to be
Mm.
disabled in order to get the help. And that's incongruent with
Wow.
what we want to be. Right. And so I wanted something that spoke to as many people as possible. And when we look at this country, what's the one thing that we can still agree on? We love dogs. Right.
Yes.
So let's just
Yes.
start there.
And
But
BJ, I want to say I really appreciate the clarification. I really appreciate you being here today. I know I already thanked you for your service. I want to thank you again. And I also I just want to really pull out something that you said right there in terms of a lot of the other programs that exist and a lot of the other opportunities for veterans to kind of pick up the pieces of their lives. They invite individuals who identify as veterans. They kind of invite them to shrink. So I really appreciate this notion of in inviting individuals who have served our country, whether or not they identify as disabled,
right.
to just take up space. And maybe you can tell us a little bit more about Sierra Delta's mission and how the organization supports veterans through the placement of service dogs, and also how the organization empowers these individuals to take up space and to just really builds them up. I think that's a really important distinction to make. Thank you for that.
Yeah. So I mean, at the essence, it's very, very simple. When I was first injured, what bothered me the most was no longer being on the team.
Mm.
Right. And even to this day, when my anxiety is up, it's because I feel like I am less than because I did not finish that deployment, because I got hurt. And I understand the rationality for it. I don't even, you know what I mean? Like, but these are the feelings that conjure up inside of us. And I ended up getting my master's in social work with an emphasis on military life. And I graduated from University of Southern California, fight on. And I became an accredited veteran service officer to really understand me, but to also understand why, when I was going through the VA or doing these other programs, it was making me feel worse. Right. And I didn't know how to express that. When I had my first convalescent leave from Walter Reed, one of the first things I did was go and buy an old English bulldog. Knowing what I know now, I did it the wrong way. I should have done it a different way. But either which way, I found this dog. He was an 8-week-old puppy, just all heads and wrinkled and slobber. And I'm a guy from Georgia, and I joined the Marine Corps. So the mascot for the University of Georgia is an English bulldog. The mascot for the Marine Corps is an English bulldog. And so I got out and I just felt like I needed this English bulldog. No special breeding, no special training, right? His name was Dozer. His main talents were he can get slobber into places you thought was physically impossible to get slobber into, clear a room with his farts. And a lot of people were scared of him. He was a big, gruff looking dog, but he was my gruff looking dog. And he was always very intuitive when I was having phantom pains. And now phantom pains are when you're missing a part of your leg. Your body is still trying to communicate to it and signaling something's wrong. It's not getting it. And it creates pain, like it feels like you're stepping on a nail, itching of the foot, and like you have a sprained ankle or a stubbed toe, but it's not there. He could be in a different part of the house, would find me when those were happening and lay on it. And it helped me. It wasn't so much what he did, is what he helped me to refocus on. And so as I'm going this journey, I really didn't see the power that Dozer had in helping me through a lot of anxiety and a lot of depression. I did all the stereotypical things that, veterans seem to be doing these days, which is getting in trouble with the law and drinking and all that other stuff. And so I had a DUI, and it was coming back out of jail from that DUI where I really thought the world would be better if I wasn't here. And the only thing I couldn't rationalize away was Dozer. Because if I checked out, most likely he would end up in a shelter, and being the breed that he is, and the lack of talent that he had, he would die too. And that wasn't fair. But that was enough to help me see in my depression that I needed to put one foot in front of the other and figure this out, whether it was the God-given flesh and blood foot or the scientifically given carbon fiber and titanium foot. Whichever one my weight was on was going to be the good foot, just like James Brown sung about back in the 60s. But I got a funky job and I'm paying my bills on the good foot, right?
Ah,
So
that's beautiful.
yeah. And as I was traveling down, I'm learning all these different benefits. I'm attending all these different things to try to see what's working, working with these veterans to see what's going on with them. And service dogs was out there, and I saw the benefit in it, but I also saw the waste and the amount of money that we're spending. Like the average cost in this country for a medical assistant service dog is $35,000. Now, there are some conditions that require that type of dog and that type of service, but 99% of the vets, 99% of us don't need that. But yet it's the only thing offered to us. And there's 5-year wait list. There's dogs being purposely bred for this. And again, I recognize the need at the minority level for those type of dogs. At the macro level, people just need a good truck dog. It's like we're trying to give everybody a Lamborghini when most everybody just needs a Corolla.
I
Right?
was gonna ask you the same
Yeah.
thing. Like as you're saying this, I'm thinking, wow, there must be so many specializations that I am completely unaware of. Here I was thinking, this opportunity was open to more dogs than I thought. So I just really appreciate you saying that, because obviously you're the professional here. So
Yeah.
it's interesting to hear that this opportunity is available to more dogs than a lot of people might perceive.
Yeah. And that's what we're working to do. Like, honestly, we're making this open. Like, we want other organizations to copy us for different clientele. I get a lot of people saying I should do this for first responders and police. I don't know anything about first responders and police, and to me, there's 18 million veterans in this country, and it's shrinking. Out of the 18 million, 12 million are 55 and older, with another 4 million being 75 and older. We only have at any given time 2 million people either on active duty and reserve. So it's 1.2 on active duty and 800,000 in reserve. Those are the average numbers. So we're not going to grow, right? We've been in a 20-year war, and I didn't really like how it ended. I'm not going to get into that, but
That's for
for that,
another podcast
yeah,
episode.
exactly. For those 20 years, we only had 3 million people deployed. To put that into context, we have 365 million people in this country. To put that in context, in World War II, when we had 138 million people in this country, 16.5 million deployed for that war. We're never going to get to those numbers again. And yet all of our support systems, especially our public support systems, are built off of that model. And the model is not that way anymore. And so what we really wanted to do was, I can't fix the government, right? It is messed up beyond fixing. But what I do know is that of the American population is that of a spirit unlike anything else I've seen, and I traveled this world a lot. And we can do it. We don't need the government to do this, right? When we first started out in 2017, I had a lot of emails about, you're breaking the Americans Disabled Act. No, I'm not. Not at all. And actually, we're making it clearer for people to understand where they fit in the life buddy spectrum. That's what we call all the dogs within Sierra Delta. They're
Life buddy.
Right. Now, you can have a service dog as a life buddy. You just have to complete the training.
Yeah.
Right. And it's very simple. There's only 3 tests that really matter. There's the canine good citizen, right? The urban canine good citizen, and then the community canine good citizen. The community canine good citizen test is the service dog test. Okay.
Yeah.
So why are we mentioning disabilities at all? Especially now when they passed the PAWS Act, making mental health a reason to have a service dog.
Yeah.
Take disabilities out of it.
Yeah.
Right.
I appreciate, and I really appreciate your willingness and to really kind of, I guess, open the scope of what it means to be simply an animal providing relief and support for a veteran. And I'm curious to know, can you maybe share with us a bit about how these dogs provided by Sierra Delta or trained by Sierra Delta
Trained
really
by.
trained by
Yeah.
enhance the lives of veterans and assist
Yeah.
them in overcoming challenges they may face by really cementing that human animal bond, which is so important to these individuals. So how exactly does this help them?
So first of all, you got to look at the veteran. What is it that we were trained to do? We were
Mm,
trained to work in a team. We were trained to be leaders. We were trained to go to other countries where we couldn't speak the same language and had a cultural differences, but to be able to impart knowledge and lead them. When we come back, people do not recognize military service as a college degree. The colleges are for profits. And so they understand that military people come with a certain skill set, but they also understand that they come fully funded. Okay. So then that means all of our skill set that gets transferred goes to electives, don't actually count towards our degree. To put this in a clear pathway, if you drive truck in the military and you're carrying explosives, you could even be in a battlefield driving around all that. When you come to the United States, you got to go to a 2-year school before you're allowed to get a job to drive truck. That doesn't make any sense to me.
yeah.
And it was the same way with how we're delivering these services. Everybody wanted to do stuff for us. And what I really want to tell America is y'all should probably be listening to us
Yeah.
more than we're listening to you.
Yep.
Right. So the first thing we do is we find out veteran, the individual veteran, what are your needs if you have any? And then what is your lifestyle? And then let's build a training program around that.
So it's very personalized. It feels
Very
very
personalized.
intimate.
Yes.
Beautiful.
And so, and we've automated a lot of these processes because the majority of veterans, I've worked with over 20,000 vets in my career. The majority of veterans, when you ask them flat out, what do you need in a dog? When you hear service dog, what are you hearing? Well, I just want a dog that won't run away and, and listens to what I have to say, and we can go camping or we can do these other things. One of the first things I ask them, if you go on vacation with your spouse, are you taking the dog with you? More than 98% say no. And I say, right away, you don't need a service dog.
Yeah.
So we already know we're in a different category. The other great thing is that in this country, and this isn't great, but this is one of the great after effects of Sierra Delta, we kill 800,000 healthy, trainable, and adoptable dogs every year in this country.
Yep.
So if we're pre-training purebred dogs to be a service dog for the veterans, we're withholding 80% of the medicine from the veterans.
Wow.
What we're trying to do is show the veterans, you have all the skill set you need to accomplish this. You were taught discipline. You were taught routine. You were taught how to train people you couldn't speak with. So what we do is find the dog training professionals in the world to work with them. We pay them directly to help these veterans train their own dogs. Now, if the veteran has documented medical condition that is going to withhold them from actually doing it, there's other things that we can do.
Yeah.
But we're going to press you. And what I tell veterans all the time, we're going to work exactly as hard as you will. If you want just something done for you, if you feel entitled because you raised your right hand and volunteered to serve in the United States military, you're joining the wrong organization if you're coming to Sierra Delta.
Yeah.
What we're trying to showcase is once you take off that uniform, it doesn't mean that you're not a badass anymore. I'm sorry if I can't say ass.
Oh, you could say all the things on this
Okay.
podcast.
I won't say like all the things, but some things I will put exclamation points on. So, and what I'm trying to tell the civilians is you don't have to put on a uniform and grab a weapon to serve your country. You know, one way you can serve your country, how about start not being a dick?
Yeah.
Right? Just focus on what you're doing and how you're making the world a better place. And what I don't like to see, and I've been seeing it rise for the past 10, 15 years, is the entitlement and this pity worship that's going around about veterans. I don't like that. I want to take the veteran brand back.
Yeah.
And I want veterans to take it back with me.
Yeah.
And that leads into the life force. So Life Buddy is everything dog.
Everything dog.
We are full spectrum dogs. So even if you just want a good house pet, here's the thing. 58% of American households already have a dog in it. It's 58 to 62%, whichever survey you look at, right? So we already know that over half of Americans have a dog in it. We're seeing about 68% of the veterans that come to Sierra Delta already have a dog. Why are we trying to give them another dog?
And
Let's focus on the dog that they have.
exactly. Yeah. And can I just say, before you share with us about life force, first of all, when you said don't be a dick, a lot of people sent out heart emojis. Yeah, I think a lot of people resonate with don't be a dick. And we have a bunch of people tuning in live, which is really exciting. And I just want to say, I really want to acknowledge, I mean, very clearly, you, in a way, are, I think, an animal activist, right? You are
Yeah.
not only seeing this need for veterans, but you're seeing, identifying a lot of, I think, barriers between veterans getting the care that they need in the way that they need it from the animals they already have, or maybe even animals in shelters, animals that are readily available, animals that are going to be euthanized anyway. So I just want to make it very clear to our listeners that that is what you're doing. And also, thank you so much from the bottom of my heart for doing that, because really, I think so often, with like bureaucracy and with other nonprofits and with the VA, there's just blockade after blockade after blockade. And I think the beautiful thing about what you're doing is not only providing this service, but I identifying these blockades and finding ways to remove them. So I just want to acknowledge that. Thank you for that. And then please tell us about Life Force as well.
I do, and thank you for that. I really like when we just look around the world, we see a lot of people complaining, a lot of people protesting. What are we doing?
Yeah.
Like, how easy is it to start a podcast? Right?
Surprisingly easy.
Yeah.
Surprisingly easy.
Get your ideas out there. It's a free country, right?
Yeah.
Why are you making it my problem that we have to go fix it? I'm focusing on my community, right? I know the veterans. I gave 9.5 years of my life before it was ended, right? And I wasn't ready to be over with. And I was a platoon sergeant in the Marine Corps in an infantry unit. I was good at it. There's no need for that in the United States. Well, I created one, right? We've got a bunch of veterans that don't have purpose. And there's a bunch of other organizations and agencies that are essentially fundraising off of our back. One of the things that I'm tossing around is we're giving name, image, and likeness to athletes of all different. What about veterans? They're one of the most like my story's been used a million times.
Yeah.
Right. And there's been people that have helped me. I'm not ungrateful for the help. And I understand the good intentions, but I do want to remind everybody the road to hell is paved with good intentions. We need good processes. Right. We need good processes, not good intentions.
Yep.
Right. And that's what Sierra Delta is. So when I look at veterans, and I'm lucky because I get behind the curtain. They know I'm one of them, and I hear it straight from their mouth. They miss being important. Most of them are never going to be as important as they were when they wore that uniform. And there's nothing I can do to fix that except for give them a new purpose. And I can only offer it to them. You can lead a horse to water, but you can't make them drink, right? So the idea behind Life Force is you're a leader. We've already helped you with your dog and helping you establish that fire team. It's the smallest unit in the military, a fire team. Now I want you to go take that to your community, right? I want you to get involved with Street Dog Coalition. I want you to find out when they're having their things. I want you to help raise goods and money. And I want you to show up there and hand sandwiches out and hold a dog while they're waiting in line to get the services that they need. Converse with them. Find out if they're a veteran too. There's a bunch of different services out there. We need people to take charge and meet the individual to help them understand it. And that's essentially what Sierra Delta is. We are a new age civic organization focused on service to others, the love of dogs, and the reasonable and sustainable support of veterans. There's so much money and so much services pointed at veterans, but we can't access them unless we are the worst versions of ourselves. Yeah. When you look at the VA, it's only servicing 30% of the total population and doing a crappy job of it.
Seriously.
So you get and here's how it works. If you drink too much, if you can't hold a job, if you can't stay in school, if you can't maintain a relationship, and if you get in trouble with the law, all your benefits go up. And if any of those things get corrected, your benefits go down.
Which is mind-blowing and so frustrating. It's so frustrating. Yeah.
It is. What do you want it to do? So when you train a dog, what do? When it does something bad, you ignore it. When it does something good, you give it a treat.
Right.
So the idea behind Sierra Delta was, can we train the veterans like we train our dogs? can we provide a rewards program based on their service to the community and what they do with their dog? I don't care what the title of the dog is.
Right.
I care that they love and care for that animal and that they're working to get better every day with it. If we can approach the service dog industry, which is such garbage, is that if we can approach this like yoga, if you can spend 15 to 30 minutes with your dog working purposefully, training, you'll have a very well-trained dog and you will feel better yourself. If you can't have a good time playing with the dog, we might need to send you to a hospital, right?
Seriously. I love this conversation. It's so funny. As I was preparing for this conversation, I was like, I personally, many strong opinions, but I was thinking the same thing. I was like, God, like service dog industry kind of like sucks. There's just so many barriers. I wonder how BJ feels about it. So I think hearing you come out here very, very transparent, using your own knowledge and experience, I think is going to resonate with a lot of people, especially veterans who might be listening to this, who might have tried to get a service dog before and were just hit with all these roadblocks. So this is just such a refreshing perspective. And I'd love to hear from you, whether it's, through, your Life Buddy, is that what it's called? Life Buddy? Life Buddy program, or your Life Force program. Maybe if you could share with us, maybe like a success story or someone that comes to mind, an example of maybe how Sierra Delta's programs have made a positive impact on the lives of veterans and maybe even their families as well.
So one great thing is we have a YouTube channel. So go to YouTube and there's a bunch of the vignettes. They're only 1 to 3 minutes long, but I'll put a link
in the show notes.
Perfect.
Yeah.
So you can see more and we're going to be adding more to it. Great story. Stephanie Marvin Miller. She was assaulted by her own NCOs, right? In the Army. Despicable. Like if I could ever find like these people that do this kind of stuff,
seriously,
there's no honor in it.
Yeah.
She gets out. She applies to 13 different service dog organizations and turned down by all of them. They all quote that they don't work with military sexual trauma. Now tell me this. How does a dog know the difference between what type of trauma you have?
Wow.
Right? This is the other thing. The service dog industry, they have their place, and I'm not trying to beat them up too much. Their model just doesn't work. Right.
It's not realistic.
Right. Well, they're supposed to be for that thin, the blind people, the mobility impaired people, like severe disabilities where you need a dog to open doors. 99% of vets don't need that. Right. And here's the other good thing. Most of America is dog friendly and it's only getting more and more dog friendly. Why? Because there's money behind it. Last year was the first year ever that the pet industry went over $100 billion a year.
Yeah.
This is what I'm saying. If we can get 1% of that and a business transaction, right? If, like we do at Blue Buffalo and Walmart, right? Yeah. Every March, they roll out, when you buy a bag of Blue Buffalo, $1 comes to Sierra Delta up to $275,000. We've exceeded the sales on that every year we've done it. And that works, right? Imagine if we get all the other pet food and all the other pet industry adding just a few pennies here and there towards this problem. We don't need the government. And now we've got enough to pay training. The other good thing is we have a relationship with the Department of Labor to increase more Life Buddy dog trainers. So there's an apprenticeship program now that's about to get launched. We need a employer partner. I'm asking PetSmart, Petco, Sit Means Sit, like all these dog trainers sign on. The Department of Labor will then create a pool of apprentices. It could be veterans or non-veterans. You want to have a part-time gig or a full-time gig. You sign up, you get hired by an agency that does, an organization that does dog training. The IRS will then give that organization a 2-year IRS tax credit for every apprentice they hire. The Department of Labor will pay that apprentice a 2-year cost of living stipend to offset the entry-level cost to learn dog training, which only takes 2 years to become an ethical, masterful dog trainer. Now, obviously, you get better over time. These are solvable problems, and that's an easy way for the government to come in. They take way too much money away from us. At least they can put some of it back into the actual solutions, right? And then we manage it. We allow the veterans to decide, I only need a basic training grant. right? I just want basic obedience, or I want a refresher, right? So that's all automated. The advanced grant goes all the way up to Canine Good Citizen, right?
Mm.
And so then we're taking care of 80% of the veterans right there automatically. We're looking for more trainers to sign up to be in network. We pay the trainers directly. They provide their videos once a week. The veterans provide their videos once a week. We have a partnership with the VFW. We're testing in Wisconsin right now. If it works this year, we're rolling it out nationwide, where we can help those older vets upload their videos too and be more engaged on the
Yes.
digital platform. Like between VFW and American Legion, there's 18,001 underutilized clubhouses in both rural and metropolitan areas across this country. We don't need to build any more buildings.
Yeah.
Like I saw one group in California, I'm not going to name names. They raised $19 million in 9 months to build a building that's going to put out 40 dogs a year. This is ridiculous.
Yeah.
The biggest nonprofits of service dogs, if you add up all the different ADI and all these other Assistance Dog International, it's really nothing. But if you add up all these groups, they're only helping 1,000 vets a year.
Mm.
That's it. There's 18 million vets, and 150,000 of them are estimated to need medical assistance service dogs. That means in America, the richest country in the world, the most prolific country that's ever existed, we're on pace to solve that issue in 150 years. And apparently everybody thinks that
classic America.
Right. And the thing is we're waiting for the government to do something. They just passed another ridiculous bill. And I know I'm not trying to diminish their efforts, but you got to look at it.
I think you're being realistic here. And I think that you're airing out a lot of the aggravation and frustration that a lot of veterans are actually experiencing. So by all means, keep going.
So that Pause Act, they're going to set aside $10 million, and yet they're only going to help 400 vets because they're assigning $25,000 per dog. They're not even looking at, like, we can show you, we're averaging $2,500 to $3,500 per vet, and that includes service dogs. Another great example, I didn't finish the story of Stephanie, and I apologize.
That's okay.
So she gets out. She was assaulted by her own NCOs. It's a documented case. That guy actually went to jail. Good, where he deserves to be.
Thank God.
But all these organizations turned her down. The last organization she applied to, I had a friend working there. He calls me, lets me know about it. I call Stephanie. She's distraught, all this other stuff. We get her into Southeastern Guide Dogs, which they do about 30 dogs a year for veterans. And now they've got a new program that's helping do Life Buddies too. But she had a dog within 6 months. Now she's out speaking. She's writing a book. She's married. Her life has completely changed. Lee Otto has won multiple Purple Hearts. Not one, was awarded multiple Purple Hearts, 3, I believe. Didn't want to leave his house. We helped him, and still during the pandemic. And he has Sage, this beautiful chocolate English lab. Leland's a white lab. This one's a English chocolate lab. And he's out about. He's a great ambassador for Sierra Delta. He's engaging his parents. When I saw him at events, came up to me crying that their son's back. He did a lot of work in the VFW, and he's our liaison to the VFW. The people all in that leadership came to me afterwards and like, Lee's a different person. We can see how this program works. And again, we're providing them support. We're not doing it for them. We're letting them do it themselves. We're letting them these are grown men and women.
Yeah, and it's
overseas, right?
And it sounds like you are, like you said, if they come to you and they don't want to work, unfortunately, the relationship between you and them is not going to work. So I'm imagining that the service that you're providing to these individuals is empowering them in a way that maybe they aren't even expecting, right? Just kind of, I have to imagine that after living, after serving your country, after, experiencing oftentimes the trauma that you described with Stephanie, it becomes difficult to feel like you are of any use, like you can really do anything. I know for a lot of veterans, not for all of them, but for a lot of individuals, getting up out of bed in the morning is feels impossible. So it's to me kind of understandable why someone might feel like, I don't know if I have time or if I can train these dogs, like for myself, like, I don't know. So I really appreciate how I imagine what you say to these individuals, if, assuming it's the right candidate, I feel I can totally see you kind of coming in and reminding these people that, they are capable of doing hard things, that
That's
they are
right.
capable of being the lifeline and the leader for this animal and reaping the benefits that come with that human animal bond. And
Right.
I
And
know
those
that this
benefits are established by you, not by anybody else,
exactly. Oh my
right?
gosh, I
As
love that.
long as the dog agrees to it, right? And my dog is right here underneath and he's a rescue. So come here, Loki. Come here, come say hi. I know you hate this.
Oh,
Come here. So Loki, I got him in 2020. Come here, up.
Loki, like named after Marvel's
The god of
Loki.
all, the god of mischief.
God of
Come on.
mischief.
Yeah, and he is mischievous.
Oh,
So this guy was a rescue. Someone was trying to raise German Shepherds. Now, obviously, he's not a full-blood German Shepherd. He's got collie. They think he's got bloodhound in him and whatnot. You're right, buddy. You can get down now. He
beautiful
But
Loki.
he was abused for the first year of his life, locked in a cage and starved because of that white collar he has around his neck. He didn't look like a German Shepherd. So when I got him, he was 40 pounds underweight, and he's still a little bit reactive to dogs, but we're working through it. And obviously had some issues with males, especially, but he sticks to me like Velcro. I tell people I'm more his service human and he's my service dog.
Of course.
I don't need a dog to go everywhere with me. What I love about him is when I'm traveling, he's home with my family. And what I learned through this is 90% of veterans feel the same way.
Yeah.
They want a dog in their life, so we're looking at training for shed hunting or scent detection, running obstacle courses, like playing frisbee or dock diving, like all the things that you can do with a dog besides just, oh, poor me, I need a dog. Like, no, come on, stop. Like, let's live this epic life.
Yeah.
Let's do stuff. Like, what is it going to take you, veteran, to get involved with this dog, work on your mental health with the dog? The great thing is they don't know how to talk, but they know how to listen.
Yeah.
Better than any other being, right? And they're always ready to play. And we want to take it that next step further. So then the life force is you're established with your dog. I was seeing all these guys like, what's next? What can we do next? And I'm like, like, I was just helping with the dog, but let's do it. Let's serve. Let's break apart service dog and let's just make it service and dogs in support of our veterans, right? You've already served your country. You took the uniform off. Why do you have to stop serving? There's so many, like Habitat for Humanity is another place we have a partnership with. They have over 60 builds in every state, 40% of which are veteran builds. Show up, do it. Take a picture of yourself. We'll share it on the platform. We've now made it possible for civilians to join Sierra Delta. So veterans get in for free. There's videos in there on how to train your own dog. There's tips and tricks, and we're building it out even more. Now civilians can join for $20 a month or $200 a year donation. That's the Netflix subscription, right?
Yeah.
You get in, you get everything that the veterans get except for the training grants.
Yeah.
The training grants are specifically for the veterans to pay trainers. However, we have over 400 trainers in the network. We're looking to add more. So just apply if you're a trainer to Sierra Delta. We'll get you through the process, vetted, all that good stuff. And then with that, we can make this work. So they're willing to give a discount. We're talking with all of our trainers to Sierra Delta members, okay? And then we have the Lifeblood program, which will be the last one we hopefully stand up this year. And that's where businesses can come in and give a percentage back. And then we'll advertise it all over the place. Our veterans are very dedicated, very loyal. So if you're in there, they're gonna start doing, like, the amount of people when they join our organization, and Blue Buffalo has been a big partner of ours from the very beginning. The Bishop family that started Blue Buffalo really pushed me and have backed me as we started Sierra Delta and tried to reorganize all this existing infrastructure so that it works better for the veterans and the dogs. Almost all of them switch to Blue Buffalo as soon as they hear that story, right? So it's very beneficial.
I would switch to Blue Buffalo if I didn't already have Blue Buffalo, because it's so great. So yeah, that makes me feel even better about Blue Buffalo.
Right. And what we were trying to teach people is, the veterans, this is your story. Tell your own dog story, because they're vastly different. This
Yeah.
whole concept that we need just one linear way, the world doesn't work linear anymore. It
Yeah.
is a spider web now. And the great part about veterans is not only their service, but every type of person that's ever existed in this country has worn that uniform. So if it works for the veterans, it's going to work for everybody else in this country.
Yep.
And that's something that I think the veterans can really appreciate. If you say, hey, veterans, we're going to focus on you so that we can fix our country, instead of making us this, putting us on a pedestal that we don't deserve, right? And any of the veterans that feel like they're victims, I want to remind them, you joined, right? I know there's still a few older guys that were part of the draft, but the vast majority of us joined. And what I remind people is, I was in the Marine Corps. USMC stands for United States Marine Corps. It can also stand for you signed a mother contract, right?
I
And if
love
you
it.
didn't know that this was part of the deal, then you should have watched Rambo. You should have watched the Green, like all the
Seriously.
old war movies. Read books. Read, the things they carried is a great book if you want to know about the veteran mindset, or A Rumor of War. I mean, I can go on and on and on and on and on of great books, right? So this shouldn't have been a surprise. It wasn't a surprise. Obviously, I didn't think I was going to get hurt. I think you have to adopt a mentality to be in the military that you're the star of this action hero movie, right? And I think that's where a lot of people get rubbed the wrong way about the military communities. We come off a little arrogant, but I'm sorry. You need to be arrogant in life a little bit with humility, right?
Yep.
But you have to understand that life is hard, right? It's a privilege to get out of bed. And I have to remind myself, trust me, putting on a leg is not fun, but I'm not sad about it. I lost 5 friends, pros. That's what's on the leg. That's what here's Cantafio, Rainey, O'Donnell, Warrens, and Simon. And we all, 200 of us that serve with them, wear a bracelet that says their names, where we were, and at the end of it says, earn this. Right? Every day,
I have chills.
tomorrow is not promised to any of us. I don't care who you are. I got diagnosed with lymphoma cancer a year after stepping out on my own and starting Sierra Delta. That's where the epiphany for Life Buddy came really in full focus for me. That first year, we worked only with ADI organizations. We gave $1.5 million away. Not a single organization did one more dog and vet the next year. And so George W. Bush, who calls me Belushi, painted me in the Portraits of Courage, told my story. He told me when I was starting all this, and he was very supportive, and he was like, but Belushi, I can tell you right now, you can give $5 million to any of these dog organizations and it won't move the needle. He was 100% right. And we learned that right away. What I am proud of these other ADI organizations, though, is they have adopted their own version of the Life Buddy program. Instead of giving the dogs that wash out back to their donors, they're actually providing them to other people that don't need that level of care. So that's a win.
Oh,
right?
that's amazing.
Let's keep going. Right? This whole concept that there's fake service dogs, BS. BS. There's ignorant dog owners. And that's what we have to fix with education.
And it's so funny that you say that, because I was just going to say that it seems as if it's this idea of like fake service dogs is ridiculous, when really what we need to do is expand our definition of what service is, expand our definition and our perspective, and change our perspective a bit on the importance of the human animal bond between dogs, between individuals have served, regardless of the trauma that they've experienced, right? Regardless of like the specific type of dog. I'm imagining like some people might have, has anyone had like a pug service dog?
I mean, so that's the difference, is take service dog out of, let's stop using the word.
Stop using service dog. Yes. Thank you. And it's funny. Thank you. Because I've caught myself in this conversation going to say service dog, and then I've tried to stop. So Life Buddy, has anyone had a pug Life Buddy? Yes.
Actually a Boston Marathon survivor. So I was blessed. When I was working at Semper Fi Fund, we showed up 3 days after those bombs went off to work with all the people that were hurt. Heather Abbott is a good friend. And she asked me one of the most important questions I've ever gotten as an amputee. I do a lot with people that especially lose limbs and helping them mentor them. People were there for me. I want to continue to pay that forward. But in the hospital, me wear high heels again. And it caught me off guard because I told her I've done a lot in the prosthetic. I've climbed 14ers, I've ran marathons, I've dog sledded, anything you can do. I've done it in a prosthetic. I've never worn high heels.
You've
And
never done drag with a fake leg. Okay. Well,
I
that's
haven't. I
on the
mean, I'll
list,
do
bucket
it.
list.
It might be a fundraiser for Sierra Delta and Street Dog coming up, right? Yeah,
Yes.
exactly. Let's get
I
it done.
love that.
But I didn't know that. And I told her, I was like, I didn't know. She's rocking high heels in a prosthetic, and good on
Wow.
her, right? And it's everything's possible. Like, all of our problems we can fix. Let's just take time to fix it. And if we fail, at least we fail trying to fix it,
Yes.
right? And we're on Sierra Delta, I think 3.0 right now.
That's
And that's just
beautiful.
because we had a different platform last year and it just didn't work. The veterans didn't like it. It was too clunky. So we burned it all down and built it all back up and really tried to include the civilians, because it's we need to understand there's nothing really special about the dogs that serve. It's more about that bond and
Yeah, that relationship.
that
And I guess, and the
relationship.
willingness of the individual to do the work on themselves, to do the work to build that relationship. And I really appreciate the fact that you said that you have burned these programs down, this organization down, and started anew. I think that it's a testament to how you are in an open conversation with yourself. You're in open communication with the needs of the organization, the needs of the individuals who are seeking help from the organization. And that, I love that you called yourself arrogant, but that you don't have an ego about this, right? You're not clinging on to the way you used to do things or to old models. And before I let you hop off here, I want to, because I promised you that I'd let you hop off soon, and promised myself. But I really want to say that this has been one of the most inspiring conversations we've had on this podcast, truly. And I really appreciate the fact that, you answered my question. Of course, I wanted to ask how people can get involved, but it sounds to me like, I especially am excited that Sierra Delta is now open to civilians as well. So veterans who are seeking services, veterans who are sick and tired of kind of navigating the bureaucracy, sick and tired of getting rejected by these other companies and organizations, by the VA, who just want some relief. It really feels like what you offer to those individuals is this oasis, is this opportunity that doesn't have as many blockades. So please, if you're a veteran listening to this, reach out to Sierra Delta. And of course, if you're a civilian, I know that we are going to do this at the Street Dog Coalition. It also seems like we can get involved. Like you said, for a $20 a month donation, we can support your organization. And I just really, BJ, is there anything I missed, by the way, and how we can get involved?
You can get involved with third-party fundraisers. Come up with a service project. Like, the life force is all about the service projects. And I'll tell you real quick, and I know we're going to stop, but we have a veteran and a Gold Star family in Beaver Dam, Wisconsin, that are working together to complete a project that started in 2010. And the county was going to build this Gold Star trail. They've only got like 200 feet done. So what they're doing is they're going to hold concerts. They're going to hold these other fundraisers. And what we're going to do is build this as a life force service project. We'll create a unique link for them, and all the money raised for this will go to help that county finish the Gold Star Trail. And we're going to build a template to maybe we can do this in other small communities. Imagine if we have a trail where you can ride your bike or you can walk your dog that's dedicated to the men and women that have served and sacrificed in that community. So as you're walking, you can just stop and look at it. And again, we don't need government permission to do this. I mean, we need the county to sign off on it, but they've already approved all this stuff. But we need to be directing our elected officials. They work for us, not the other way around. Right. And then we can go raise this money. Again, I love what Street Dog Coalition is doing. I don't need a government agency to come do this. I just need people to hey, let's take off some time. Let's go to this park. Let's help the veterinarian and the vet technicians do their job by helping to provide other services. Maybe somebody can be out there grilling out and feeding people, feeding the meat to the dogs too. I add food to Blue Buffalo as well. I cook for my dogs. I'm a little bit like that, but
we do that here too. Don't worry.
Yeah. So, I mean, instead of bitching about what's wrong, make it work in your own, and join Sierra Delta if you have trouble. We'll help. We're gold star, we're platinum rated, 4-star rated charity. Let's plug and play. Let's work together. Other organizations, let's work. Let's do it. Let's make it happen.
This.
It just doesn't, it doesn't compute. Right.
Yeah. And I really appreciate, BJ, your ability to build bridges between people, between organizations, and to really, I think, demystify a lot of the barriers to individuals being able to help themselves, to help others. I think there's something really inspiring about this conversation, because you don't make it sound easy, but you definitely you've instilled me, and I'm sure you've instilled our listeners with a sense of hope, right? So I think just this conversation is a testament to, go ahead.
We had a great partnership with Billy Dawson and a bunch of people in Nashville. For the past 3 years, myself and a bunch of other veterans have worked with them to write songs. And on June 14th this year, the Warrior Life album came out. It's 11 songs written from the veteran perspective. And everybody in Nashville agreed 100% of all the proceeds from this come back to Sierra Delta. So like Sierra Delta now, we have this album, and it's one of the songs I wrote was the God and a Dog. And it just talks about that relationship in an American way. There's so many great songs on that album. You can get on Spotify.
I was going to say Spotify. And what's it called again?
Warrior Life by Billy Dawson. And again, download, you stream it for free. We're asking for donations if you really like it. We're looking for, movies and commercials to license it. All that money would come back to Sierra Delta to go into our programs. Like, it's 11 original songs. They're phenomenally done. Some of the best in the industry were on the drums, on the keyboards. Billy is a great singer-songwriter down in Nashville, works with Luke Bryce and all these big acts. And all these guys came to Guys and Gals. They didn't want too much credit. They just wanted to give their time, talent, and treasure towards making it better. And that's all we're asking from anybody. Give what you can and help us solve. I think we can solve this by the end of the decade. I am not being facetious. If we were really to double down, for every 5,000 people we can convince to give us $200 a year, that's $1 million.
That's the math. Yeah. No,
that's 1,000 basic training life buddies. That's 500 advanced training life buddies, or that's 250 service dog trained. So like in our model, it's working at scale for every vet.
Yeah. BJ, this is beautiful. Like, I could talk to you for another 3 hours.
And I'm willing to come back. Or I can send
please,
here.
Seriously, please.
We can send veterans here to you to tell their story personally.
I would love that.
Guys can do that. And we've had veterans volunteered. So let us know. I will feed you all the people and dogs that you want, and let them tell their own story. That's what I try to say. It doesn't have to be me. Yeah. Let all these other people tell their story. Everybody's got a story, and everybody wants to be the hero in their own story. Let's just let it happen. What's the worst that could happen? Right? Like,
I love this. I love this, BJ. And I know what I'm going to be listening to when I go upstairs and make lunch shortly. And I really appreciate you so much, not only for, taking the time to be here with me today, not only for helping animals, helping veterans, but for just leaving me and all of our listeners feeling hopeful, feeling empowered, worried less about the things that we can't do, worried less about, bitching and complaining about all the bureaucracy, all the roadblocks. Like, I really feel right now, just happy, inspired. And I know that the individuals listening to this podcast episode, they're going to reach out, they're going to open their wallets, they're going to open their hearts and minds, and they're going to support Sierra Delta and the incredible work that you're doing, BJ. And I want to thank you so much again for taking the time to chat with us. And I want to thank everybody for listening into this episode. BJ, you're an inspiration. I love what you're doing at Sierra Delta. I'm so glad we got the chance to connect, and let's do this again sometime. And like you said, let's empower other individuals that you have helped through your work at Sierra Delta to also come on the pod, share their stories. I'm feeling great. I'm feeling like I can do anything right now.
And you can. And you guys are doing it too, because I love Street Dog. I want us to figure out more ways to get more people involved more regularly. because I think it will help to diminish a lot of the myths that are out there about veterans, about homeless, about
Yeah.
dogs, all the different things we think we know, we don't know. Let's get out
Yeah.
there. Let's make it happen. So I
Let's do
can't thank
that.
you, all your listeners. Thank you. Join. Let's go. Let's make this happen. Let's make the world a better place.
Yeah. Thank you so much, BJ. And I hope you enjoy the rest of your day. And I can't wait to reach out to you again soon so we can take
I'm looking forward
take
to
this
it.
collaboration to the next level. All right.
We're here. We're waiting. Let's do it.
Thanks, BJ. Have a
All
good
right.
one. Take
Thank you.
care.
You too. Bye-bye.